Gotta go get what's mine. When we go out, I must confess I'd rehearse every line. Hanging out with you, just dreaming every single time. The clothes I wore, the way I talked. Why was I pretending? I'm fighting back the water from my eyes. Dreams are growing daily, growing faster than my hair. I don't stop to cut it, baby. I just sit and stare. All the dreams that we were chasing, they were yours and yours alone. Time to start living mine.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
Hi.
I'm just figuring out where this sound is coming from on my computer. There we go.
Hey, everybody.
Hey, everybody. Perfect start. We are, I guess I should introduce you to.
Yeah, you're the host.
Perfect. Oh, well.
Our host,
Hello.
Joshua Croak.
I am your host for this evening for Hot Letters album release. This is super exciting.
Yeah.
It's a long time coming. It's
Yeah,
long time
2018, right?
That's right. Winter of 2018. So, well, and it spilled into the spring and the summer. So, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm sure everybody watching knows our two lovely men sitting here, Giuliano and Matt Sivazlian.
Hello. And if you don't know us, that's okay too. Nice to meet you.
Yes, it is great to meet you. Thank you for tuning in. So we are here for the celebration and the listening of the new album. It's going to be available where?
It's going to be on Spotify, Apple Music, Google Play. I think that's what they call it, right? Amazon Music.
It's like, I have an iPhone. I don't know these other
I
platforms.
don't know. Whatever y'all use out there, you should be able to get it. We're giving it to you.
Cool. Well, we're really excited for tonight. We're going to talk with these two about the making of the album, the inspiration behind the songs, funny, quirky stories along the way, and listen to the music. So before we dive into the album, why don't you give us a little context about this, you know, the songs, the production, all that stuff. It was done at Wachusett Recording Studio, right?
Yep. But the songs are all kind of like from a huge span of time. I mean, they weren't all written around the same time. I mean, we have one song on there that was written when
2010.
2010.
We were just graduating high school.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So some of the songs experienced a lot of changes. Alan and Mike worked with us on the songs, and they helped us to kind of flesh them out and produce it. So like,
huge shout out to Mike Harmon and Alan Day, who helped us produce this at Wachusett. Love you guys.
So how long did it take to produce the whole album?
I think we started in February or March, and the final mastered version I think was done in August.
Yep.
The bulk of the work was in the first 2 months. And then we would periodically go in for like mixing sessions and then mastering. A lot of that was done remotely. At that point, they were sending us back versions, and we were listening and kind of just like giving notes and stuff.
Yeah. Cool. So let's even rewind further for those who might be just getting familiar with the two of you. You guys have been singing together for forever and performing together and playing together.
Since 2006.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, how old were you? Like 15?
I was
Yeah.
only 13 years old.
13? Oh my
But I was just a little girl.
I forget. I'm like bored on like a decade, so it's so easy for me to do like my own birthday math.
Right.
But yeah, so you were like 13.
13, 14. We're about a year apart.
Yeah.
Yeah. So early high school, playing together.
So
rock
give us
band.
some of the origin story.
Matt, you start. Rapid fire. Prism.
Okay. So we started as Prism. Well, Giuliano had kind of seen me and my friend Mike play before, and we all got together sharing our love of like classic rock music and wanted to jam with each other. That started as Prism, but I feel like we weren't Prism for very long. We played like one show at our high school. And then we became the infamous Black Raspberries.
The Black Raspberries.
The Black Raspberries.
Yeah, and we released two
So
albums
good.
as the Black Raspberries. Actually, three.
Three, yeah.
Self-titled, Room 237, and Us Against the World. So we've been like self-recording these albums since high school, and getting funded by the bank of dad, and I mean not anymore, but at the time, and like doing whatever we could to get these CDs pressed and selling them at our shows, and boxes on boxes, and it's just been something we love doing. But then we went to Berkeley together.
Yep.
Kept playing through that, became Hot Letter, and recorded a couple albums that way. Before this, we did Need to Bleed in 2015, which is the other record you'll find.
And available on all platforms.
On all
Right?
platforms.
Spotify,
Yes.
it's
Yes.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Yes. So this is our follow-up to that, and it took a little while, and we pulled, like Matt said, from some material that was even further before Need to Bleed, but kind of gave it a fresh face. And our philosophy for this album recording was to kind of throw rules out the window, kind of approach every song differently with its own character. Typically when you record a rock record, a lot of times you'll go in, you'll record the first track, and you'll set the drum setup, you'll get the mic set on the guitar amps, and you'll save that setup essentially as a template for every song you do after. For this, though, we changed the drum setup, we changed the guitars, we changed the keyboards, and Wachusett allowed us to do that because they, have a lot of cool instruments on hand that we could, mess with their guitars, and it was fun.
Awesome. So we're gonna talk about like the name Hot Letter after we listen to a few songs because I love that story. And we'll talk about these songs. I am monitoring the social feeds, so please, I'm looking at Facebook Live a lot. make comments. This is going to be very conversational. Ask questions if you want to know anything while you're listening to the music from either of these two wonderful people. Send us a note, and I'm seeing it. Giuliano, your mom says we have lots of CDs to give away. From
Lots
some
of CDs. Yes, let us know if you want any of that vintage stock.
Yes.
We'll be happy
So
to get it to you.
It's 13, 14-year-olds.
Yes.
Band time. Love it.
Very progressive.
Yeah. Prog rock.
Yeah.
Teen prog rock.
Angsty lyrics that don't make sense. You'll love it.
Love it. All right. Well, should we jump in?
Let's
so
do
wait,
the first
what's
song.
the first song? Tell us about it.
Track 1 is called This Place. I think this is the second song we recorded, that's an interesting thing, like the whole idea about how, you order the recording versus how you order the album, but
I want to talk about that at some point.
We'll get into that, but I want to start with This Place. This Place is a song that I originally had the lyric idea for when the Lucky Dog Music Hall closed, or I heard that it was closing. Mm-hmm. And I think at the time I was going through some angsty thing. I don't know if it was like a relationship thing or just like college woes, but I was home on a break from college and I took my car out to like the Wachusett Reservoir and I had the guitar and I just started playing like a really basic rock riff, and then thinking about how much I love rock and roll and like the rock clubs, thinking of them shutting down, how much life they had given our band, and not wanting to see that go, but wanting to hold on to that moment. And that's what This Place is all about.
Let's hear it.
All right. Here comes the bass.
Who are these people around me? What are these games they're playing?
One note.
Am I a joke? This place isn't gonna be here forever. They whitewashed all of your graffiti walls. Where we gonna go
Yes.
This place.
First track. Okay, before we have some questions in the thread, I have some questions. First one, why did you choose that for the first number? Or for the first track?
I think it was partly because it's, like a driving song. I mean, we wanted to start with like something really energetic and kind of in your face. And also it kind of like, originally we had this idea for the album sort of being like the theme was going to be this place and kind of like Worcester and like how it's been changing. So it sort of was like I don't know, I feel like it kind of encompassed like the feel.
Right. It's thematic and also has that sonic thing. Mm-hmm. And I think when you put together an album, you want to think like a larger version of a song. And just like a song, you want a hook and you want an intro that's going to be, catching of the listener's ear. You want that with the first track of your album too. And I like just like the way this kind of comes right out of the gate swinging.
Yeah, absolutely. What artists that I love, I always listen to their new albums like all the way through first to like see that like decision-making process. Like all of those things are very intentional,
Right.
So I really appreciate that and want to hear more about the progression of that. But our friend Jim, first, happy birthday, Jim.
Happy birthday, Jim.
Happy birthday.
Yes. Hi, Jim and Lori. Jim asked, where's the question? He says, tell us how you got Dave Grohl to do the drums.
Well, Dave Grohl, in this case, is none other than Mike Harmon.
Yeah.
Who is watching?
This was Mike
Hey,
on
Mike,
this record,
as
on
well.
this one, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
This one was Mike. I'm pretty sure I remember who played drums on all these songs, and we can go through and try to remember. But hi, Mike, and thank you. Yes, definitely a big Dave Grohl rock and roll drum sound on that one.
And that was he brought a totally different feel than we originally.
Right.
were
We
thinking.
never had that boom boom ba boom 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 ba boom 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 ba. It was always the boom boom ka. It was always the halftime feel. And then having that like that double time, the eighth note thing, which I think was Alan's idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it just ended up coming together so well. And one of the cool things about not having, obviously having a well-oiled machine of a band that plays live is great, but going to the studio with people and kind of making it up as you go is really fun. And that's kind of like what happened with the bass on this song as well.
Yeah, I was gonna say because like there was like a myriad of ways to like write music, right? Like some of it you can be like super like meticulous and be like, no, this has to be note for note everything that I did. And then there's like the exploration of things just kind of as they happen organically.
Right.
So maybe talk to us a little bit about kind of your songwriting process as well as like how that changes when it like meets the band and like you guys are playing and you're kind of going through the recording process, because that fascinates me.
Yeah. Well, for most of the songs that we're going to hear tonight, a lot of the early impetus comes from like moments that I have alone writing songs, and then not really finishing or arranging them, bringing the idea to Matt. In this case, most of it was worked on just the two of us, all of these songs, and they existed to some degree, and then we brought them into the production and studio vibe with Alan and Mike, and they changed even more.
And some of the songs were definitely more fleshed out than others once we got there.
Right. And so this is one where, for example, we had like the guitar, we had been playing it acoustic. We kind of knew, I think we had a demo version where I probably did something on bass and maybe programmed a drum track, but we didn't have a bass part. So with us in the studio, we tracked the drums, we got the guitars, I had the guide vocal on there, and we started just like literally passing the bass around from person to person in the control room, just laying down part for a verse, part for a bridge. And so you actually end up hearing in that full bass take from the beginning to end of the song, 3 or 4 different people, all of us really taking a crack at one part or another, which is definitely unorthodox. If you had a bass player in a band, they would never let you do that. But
Well, that sounds great. So that
and
was
it's fun.
awesome.
It's fun.
So another question from Jim: how'd you mic up the guitars?
Don't remember.
He said, did you use your Vox AC30?
No, we used different amps depending on the songs, but they were all amps that they had at the studio.
There was a Vox that you liked a lot.
Yeah, I did use a Vox AC30 for some of them.
And Jim, I know you're the ultimate like gearhead, and I'm so not. And I don't remember, like, I use this boutique amp, and Mike, if you're in the comments, write in what that like amp that I really liked that was much smaller, kind of a combo amp that I was using. And then Matt was using an old Vox that had some real dirty channels in there that sounded really good.
I think we usually mic'd the amp and then had a room mic too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we threw the guitar amp in the lounge area of the studio where the couch is and the kitchen, and just let it ring out there and put a room mic out there as well as a close mic. So you get like actual reverb. Pretty cool.
Cool. Behind the scenes. BTS,
Yeah.
you saw it here first. Next song, what's up?
All right, we're going to go on to Talk. All right, this is, how would you describe it, Matt? A little bluesy,
Yep.
a little Americana. Came out with like a Tom Petty inspired production. We'll talk a little more about it at the end. Let's get to more music.
Talk about Talk later.
Talk about Talk.
1, 2, 3,
Alan.
4. What do you say, you and me, buy a one-way ticket out of this place together? Right until we find the sunshine rising over hills we've never seen. And with you by my side, I know that dreams can never die. It's a journey, baby, and the road is long. We got lots of time for you and me to talk. And there ain't nothing you can say that I won't try to understand. I give the best of my heart to you. When I wake up, I do it again. Watching the sun go down on your old hometown in the rearview mirror as we drive away. Will give you the strangest sense of feeling like you're running from yourself. It's a journey, baby, and the road is long, but we got lots of time for you and me to talk.
I love this solo.
There are things that happen that change everything from that moment on. We can talk about those things, and we'll curse the ones who did you wrong. And if I can make it better, at least I'll try to make you feel alright. We can stay up, baby, and you can talk to me all night. And there ain't nothing you can say that I won't try to understand. I give the best of my heart to you. When I wake up, do it again. We can talk about anything, because I know you got my
So Matt,
Yes.
you are an incredible guitarist, and
Thank you.
I'm constantly amazed at how much music I see you play and like never look at music. Like you have so much memorized. It like blows my mind. So yeah, everyone like virtually clap wherever you are.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, for Matt. So I want to know more of your background. Like, how'd you get into guitar? Like, what drew you to that instrument?
Well, I started on alto saxophone.
Yes, alto sax.
Probably in like the 4th grade. I mean, I always loved music. Like ever since I was a kid, my dad taught me a little bit of piano, and I started getting into like around middle school. I started getting into rock and roll, and just like I remember one time like finding a CD on the side of the road and being like, oh, I'll take it home, see if it works. And it happened to be a Jimi Hendrix like compilation. And it blew my mind as a teenager. I'd never heard him before. And I was just like, okay, like I love guitar. Like I want to get into guitar. So I started taking lessons and just, went on from there.
That's awesome. And so tell me about Talk. Like, this is a sick song.
Thank you. That one, for me, started in the studio writing, thinking, I don't think I've ever written a 3-chord song. And how much I love simple but effective pop music. I love songwriters like Dylan and Springsteen and Tom Petty and Stevie Nicks, where so much of their music is so rich because of how good the players in their band are and how good the arrangements and productions are, but also like the lyrics are really rich, but there's not often like a lot of complexity in like necessarily like the harmony, right? Like what the chords are. It's not gonna wow you with this harmonic like moment. It's more like setting a stage for the lyrics, and like, the old country adage, 3 chords and the truth. There's a lot to be said about that in blues music. I'm a huge blues lover, and I cover so much of that in my acoustic gigs, and then together with our duo and in our band, we've played tons of simple 3-chord songs. I don't think I ever written one.
Well, and music and visual art are so similar. And one of the quotes that I love about, the quote is made about like graphic design, but it's, something's finished not when you've added everything you needed to, but you've taken away everything you could, which I feel like is so relevant for music as well. It's like,
Definitely.
It doesn't always need this additional layer, this additional thing to communicate the intent.
Right. And that's one thing I love, like going one step further with that into the collaborative process of music, because as the initiator of a lot of these songs, I find myself not doing enough of that takeaway, even when I challenge myself to take away a lot of the complexity from, the chord changes and only write 3 chords. Even still, when we brought this song to the studio, Alan, who was producing, cut out and was like, let's take a few measures away here. We don't need to rest on the instrumental as long, or let's like move this here. We don't need to hear the final resolution to the chorus until the last time we hear the chorus. And the song got truncated a little more to make it what it is now, I think, more effective. But a lot of times as the initiator of the idea, you don't think to do that editing. And that's what I loved about the collaboration in this process.
Right. And also I love that music can evolve and change, and you can adjust and shift things song to song. Like even when you like perform it again, it just continues to evolve and grow, which is great. So what is next?
All right. Next, we're going to go on to Free.
Free.
All right. Free is like a happy hippie song. Started writing this sitting in the yard watching my dog roll around, and it was 2016. This was like my political...
The song pretty much explains what it's about.
Yeah, it explains itself. I will just say the political vantage point was much more hopeful in the summer of 2016, pre-election, when this was written. I was hoping everyone would just get along and see the light.
I love it. And before you click play, my grandmother just joined, and she said, Giuliano, where did you get that jacket from? It looks familiar. And I just have to point out that it was my grandfather's jacket. It's like a vintage, jacket from the who knows when.
Thank you.
It looks great in it. But
I love it. I'm proud to be wearing it. This is Free.
I was alone Why do the best things happen by yourself? I felt a spark of inspiration, riffing on a Van Morrison tune. I can feel the sunshine. The days are getting longer, month of June. And the weight of responsibility is on my shoulders. But I just wanna be as happy as my dog.
Shout out to Marley. We love you, my
I'm
dog.
so distracted by some nonsense, but not today. My cell phone's nothing
And Stevie,
but
Matt's
a
dog.
paperweight as I write this song. But it's writing itself. Someone said I care too much and pick fights too much with strangers on Facebook. Said I should save it for a song. Well, this is the raw and uncut version from the soul. Now if I start to ramble, please someone cut me off. Nobody's gonna change their mind. You've got yours, I've got mine. I care so much about what makes us free. Why can't we give it to Nobody's gonna change their mind. You've got yours, I've got mine. I care so much about what makes us free. Why can't we give it to everybody? Free. This moment is free. 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 I'll spend my life looking for something, a truth on which we can all agree.
A fun little rock and roll ending there. And you can tell we all love the Beatles. I think the four of us in that studio were all Beatles nerds. I know for a fact we were. And we were like, let's do tambourines. Let's like overcompress everything. Let's do hand claps. Like all the studio techniques that we love from these like psychedelic Beatle records.
Nice. Awesome. That was great. We have so many people loving everything. I can't
We
read
love
them
you.
all.
I hope you love this music.
We did get a question for Matt from Jim. Thank you, Jim. Do you memorize your solos, or do you do a lot of improvisation?
Most of the time it's improv. I don't think any of these were like written solos.
Not ahead of time,
Yeah.
but I do hear you play almost, I don't know if it's to the letter, but it's, no pun intended,
To the hot
to
letter.
the hot letter. It's very accurate, like, you know, representations of that after live.
Yeah, to a point.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it's like this for you, but I know for me, from a vocal perspective,
Mm-hmm.
when we record vocal takes, like just like Reader's Digest version, we do a bunch of takes, and then we take the best from all the vocal takes and do what's called comping, or like I call it Frankensteining them together, and you stitch them together, and you get what sounds like a complete performance. And for a lot of your solos, we did that too.
Yeah, for
You-
some of them.
From especially on this record, I feel like
Yeah.
more so. But you'd play through, and then we'd find ideas we liked, and then build that, and then you play that. I don't know. Is that what you
Yeah,
do?
and and then like afterwards when we perform some of those songs, I definitely like what is on the recording is always in the back of my mind. So like I kind of instinctually like will play off of that or like do it pretty
Right.
similarly.
Right. It's like that memory, a
Yeah.
muscle
Right.
memory.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like
So it kind of becomes something like
yeah.
that.
In a way, you and I are similar because we improvise a lot, but that becomes like what we replicate as well
Yeah.
when we really like it. So we use the studio a little bit as like a composition tool.
And you do free a lot when you guys do your duo
Yes.
Yep.
performances, which is great. It's always a fun one.
I always improvise when we do that one live.
Yeah.
Though. Yeah.
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 And it sounds great. It always sounds awesome. So what is next on the record?
All right. Next, we have Kaleidoscope.
Oh yes.
All
Such
right.
a good one.
Yeah, Kaleidoscope. I love this song. I at Berkeley had a couple classes with Paula Cole, songwriting classes.
Yes.
And yes, love Paula. And every week you had a different songwriting assignment, and one was to write a song that touched on gender issues, and you had to use color in the song somehow. So using a color or the concept of color. So I was thinking about gender, and specifically, like the song was to write about trans issues and people going through transitions, and to kind of empathize with that and somehow represent that in a song. She had us watch the show Transparent and get some inspiration from other sources as well. And for me, I thought about it, and I didn't want to select just one color. Like, I wanted to represent it as a spectrum.
We are the rainbow.
We are the rainbow. And like, what's even bigger than a rainbow is a kaleidoscope. So that's what I got for that. Musically, this went under a lot of different iterations, both before and after this recording.
Right. Yeah.
All right, here's Kaleidoscope. Wachusett Sessions.
Walk left when you said go right.
I love that song.
Oh.
I mean, for a lot of reasons, but I think the lyrics are powerful for anyone who's been othered in any way, just being able to see other things outside of like the home school life. So I think that is really resonant for everyone listening to those lyrics. And you also did a version of this at our Love Your Labels Queer AF fashion show fundraiser last year.
Yeah, and Matt produced that track with me. So we did like a Queer AF remix for the show last March. That was really fun. And so we basically took this song, which was very like Beatlesy inspired. You hear that like 12-string electric, and
I see like a music video with like, the Kaleidoscope
right, 'cause
filter with that like fades and like becomes all
Right.
these other colors.
yeah, we
and-
really leaned into the psychedelic rock like inspiration for Kaleidoscope. But to do it at the fashion show, I thought we needed something that was more like boom, 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 boom,
and we got it.
and we got it.
You guys crushed that.
Yeah, that
It
was
great.
fun.
And we're gonna release that too.
I think we're gonna
Yeah.
release that too. Yeah,
Oh,
we're gonna do
good,
that as
yeah.
a single, the Queer AF remix.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I love that. And that's cool that you did a class with Paula Cole to kind of inspire that.
Yeah, she's awesome.
Speaking of that, because you said it was like an assignment. Like, I sometimes love the confines of an assignment for a creative process.
Me too.
So were there other songs on this album that you kind of gave yourself a prompt or kind of limited yourself to certain exploration?
Well, we talked about Talk, which was my
Yes.
3-chord song challenge. This was obviously from a class. I don't know that any of the other ones were. Do you know of any that had that kind of idea?
No, not that I can think of.
No, I know that there's some coming up. There's one that we're going to hit in a couple tracks that was a very intentional 80s inspiration. So sometimes you go off sonic ideas too and production inspiration. And with the freedom of an album like this where we weren't too concerned with like using all the same sounds and having too much of a cohesive thread through every single song.
And it's so funny you just said cohesive thread because I was about to say like, but there is cohesion to it. Like there is, difference, but also, there is that like element of it moves well.
Right. And I think we accepted that as a challenge. Because even when we got to the studio, Mike and Alan, who trusted us a lot with the songs and with the production, and we trusted them as well, but not knowing our background, obviously advocated for some of those ideas that work, like having the cohesion. And we were always, prepared to say, like, we're gonna allow the music to speak for itself and lean back on the fact that we've been playing together for so long and that there's something there that even when we use different elements, like that's still going to speak through. And we hope that does with this stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So next,
All
Borrowed
right.
Time.
Moving along. Yeah, Borrowed Time. So, do you have anything? Oh, 12-string. Talk about the 12-string.
12-string. Yeah, we they have this cool like Dan Electro electric 12-string at the studio, and as soon as we saw it, we were like, yeah, we're using this, and I think it ended up in like 3 or 4 songs.
I think that was Roger's 12-string. Roger LaValle.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, shout out to Roger. Also works at Wachusett and a great musician, the Great Curtain.
So this
Awesome,
is
dude.
the guitar like actually has 12 strings?
Yeah, 12-string guitar.
Whoa. Wait, so like what's the difference playing? Like obviously significant.
Yeah, it takes some getting used to, but basically it's like a normal guitar has 6 strings, so this has 2, like 6 pairs basically. They're like kind of close together, and the first 3 or the lower 3 are octaves, and then the top 3 or the lower 4 have octaves.
Yeah, and the
Yeah,
top
and the
3 are
top-
unison or something like that. But you basically, for every string you press down, have 2 underneath your finger.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
But that's not like one of those guitars with 2 necks.
No.
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 That's what I was thinking for a second.
Tho-
was like that.
Those guitars often do have one that is 12 string.
One's a
and
12-string and one's a 6-string.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
No, but this gives the 12-string mostly is acoustic. Most 12 strings are acoustic. You find it is more common, but with the 12-string electric is very reminiscent of early psychedelic rock and like folk rock groups like the Byrds, The Beatles use it a lot, and then Tom Petty's music uses it. So it's got a very like distinct sound. You hear it at the end of Kaleidoscope, and you're gonna hear it in Borrowed Time quite a bit actually. Matt has a beautiful guitar intro. Let's take it away.
Let's hear it.
That's actually me.
Yeah, that's
And then the 12 string comes in.
Give you all my borrowed time. I heard what they said about me loving you. I know I live a little harder than most, and baby, so do you. But my bad reputation could use some good rest tonight. I'll give you all my borrowed time.
Shout out to my dad who taught me everything I know about harmonica. It's not much, but it works.
Let us all shed a tear for the friends we've lost. All of our days are numbered. Can I take comfort in the warmth of your eyes? Oh, I'll give you all my borrowed time. It's all I got now, baby.
Yeah, Borrowed Time. I like that song.
So talk to us about that.
Harmonica makes a big appearance throughout that.
I actually had a note that I wanted to ask you about harmonica.
Oh, yeah.
because It's such a cool instrument, and it still is something that like confuses me a lot.
Yeah.
As to like how to be really good at the harmonica. And your dad plays harmonica.
Yeah, I actually, when you took your bathroom break, there was
I went to fix the computer.
there was a harmonica moment, and I was just saying shout out to Tony, to my dad, who taught me everything I know about the harp. And the harmonica, basically, I play the diatonic harmonica, which means each harmonica only has notes for that key. So you need one for each key that you play in.
It's expensive.
It gets expensive.
Does that make it easier?
Um,
Or does it make it like more robust? The fact like versus playing like what are the other types of harmonicas?
Well,
I
it
guess
has
is what I'm asking.
Well, it has limitations to how many notes you can play. So it does lend itself to a certain scale. Essentially, you're playing an instrument that's limited to a scale. And there are certain notes that you can really lean into and bend when you're either blowing air into a note or drawing in. And when you draw in, you can manipulate that with the muscles in your cheeks and your throat, and you can bend the note and create bluesy stuff. So honestly, I don't know if it makes it harder. I mean, the technique is what it is, but the instrument is set up so it really lends itself to a very distinct style. And it's kind of a mystery, and it's one of those instruments that, unlike the other instruments I play, guitar, piano, and voice, I would say those all three I need to practice a lot to stay at my, baseline for that instrument. The harmonica, I do not consider myself like a master player of the harmonica, but when I pick it up, at least to my abilities, it's
like riding a bike.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it.
Cool.
Yeah.
So what's next on the...
Thanks, man.
Actually, before we play the next
Yes.
song, Mike asked a great question. Where can we find this music
All right,
now that you're releasing it, and how can people support you as musicians?
Take it away, Matt. Where can you find
Okay,
it?
you can find it at all your local streaming.
Very geographically
proprietors.
specific, locally streamed.
Spotify.worcester.com.
Spotify, iTunes, Amazon Music, Google Play.
Isn't it
Yeah.
Apple Music now? Didn't
Apple
they?
Music.
Did they
Apple
kill
Music, yes,
iTunes?
yes.
Yeah.
And of course,
My bad.
streaming.
This live stream is brought to you from 2018.
If you subscribe to the streaming services, the music is our gift to you. We've been doing the live stream local. We did that together.
Yep.
We're doing that to hopefully supplement some of what we were losing and not playing gigs. This tonight is our gift to you. However, if you do want to support, Venmo, we don't have the stuff listed down there, but I'm music by Giuliano. What's your Venmo?
I think it's Matt-Sivazlian.
Yeah.
I will add them.
Add them down in the comments. But honestly, that's not what tonight's about. If you do want to donate, obviously we're not going to say no. Artists,
Artists, yeah. Well, and I think, and just like we don't want to make this about COVID, but the fact that we're all home, I think we see in our feeds constantly musicians doing live streams, performances. Like we watched the One World Together the other day. Broadway.com did one that started an hour and a half late, but we'll not talk about that. But music and the arts is what is keeping so many people sane right now, right? So support artists. Thank you for listening.
Absolutely.
That's my spiel.
Yeah, no, thank you
The importance
so
of
much.
art in the world.
And that's one of the reasons, honestly, why we wanted to do this tonight. Part of why really short synopsis, why we didn't release the album shortly after recording it, which is what you're supposed to do, was because we struggled to find the right lineup to commit to possibly touring and just learning the music and playing the stuff with us in a live setting. And feeling like without that, how do you market an album? Our focus shifted, and we didn't really think that it was the right time. And it kind of became something that like, oh, let's just put it out. And we kept saying that to each other, right?
Yeah.
And then with this, now everybody's at home. It's like, well, nobody's expecting live music because it doesn't exist. Let's just do this.
It's as good a reason as any, I guess.
Yeah.
So what's next?
All right, Reason to Breathe. This one's the oldest song on the book.
Yes.
All right, so like 13, 14-year-old.
No, this is like 17, 18-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah.
And it's gone through a lot of changes.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
We recorded this as the Black Raspberries
Yeah.
and as Hot Letter on the first Hot Letter album.
Mm-hmm.
That's no longer streaming. Maybe we'll re-release that. Anyway, we recorded it in 2010, 2011, and then again in 2018. Yeah.
Hey, earlier we were talking about the like evolution of music and songs as
This
they go
one's
through
evolved
time
quite a
and-
bit. Yeah.
Yeah, well, and I love that, and I love when artists re-release music that they've like redone, because like you listen to the music that you love so much, and it's the same version so often, and then like I think that's what live concerts and stuff are so exciting for, right? It's like you hear the music you listen to all the time, and it's slightly different.
Yeah. I will say also, it just popped into my head. This was the first song that we recorded for this record.
I think we pretty much started with most of the like fleshed out songs.
Yeah.
And then kind of
Yeah,
moved
this
on.
one had the biggest foundation already, but it also probably changed the most.
Yeah.
Alan was not shy about getting in there with the X-Acto knife and being like, this goes here, and like, what if we cut that out? And this was a song that we had lived with for almost 10 years, for 8 years. And that for me as like the initial songwriter was hard. But I, had like committed to this process, and we were like, we're going to work with a producer for the first time and go with it. And obviously if we really don't like something, we, say no. But for me, I found myself like being very cautious with my control freak,
I was impressed. I was very
tendency.
impressed.
Did you think I did well? I really just was like, let the reins
comment.
go. Let the reins go. And I love what we came up with, and I wouldn't have imagined it any other way. So thank you, Alan.
And hey, as I learned on Nova last night, it took Leonardo da Vinci 16 years to paint the Mona Lisa.
Wow.
And it went through multiple changes.
Look at that.
Crazy.
Yeah. So
Here we
art
go.
can take time.
It's called A Reason to Breathe.
It's the last snowfall of the night, and I'm lying here to myself. You might be far away, but you feel so near. Maybe I'm not really all alone. And though I could go until infinity about the reasons you're imperfect, but I don't mind. I'm not the perfect kind. I'm only perfectly happy when I'm with you. I guess I hide it pretty well, don't I? I guess I don't wear my heart on my sleeve. Though I show you my colors constantly, you're still looking for a reason to breathe. I'm getting out of tune.
Love that Phil, Mike.
I'll take another shot just to lose.
And the mustache.
It's the mustache.
I love to be high, but I'm fresh out of pie, and my only saving grace is you. I know I told you that my feelings have all changed.
crushed it. That was
like
great.
when you get like a really gnarly note in the fade out.
Oh, yeah.
Like in that, it's like.
And
Loved it.
for Jim, that solo was planned ahead of time.
Nice. Nice. Oh, speaking of Jim.
Did I write that solo?
It was based off your
Original solo.
Yeah, like from the other recording.
Nice. So when you songwrite and when you like plan your, guitar stuff and solos, I'm trying to think of how to form this question, but like there are some composers who like hum things into a cell phone and then like people create stunning symphonies out of them. Like, do you have things like that you like hum and plan and like communicate across instrumentalists in the band? Like, how do you communicate like these ideas to each other?
Yeah, I mean, it definitely happens. I mean, a lot of times he'll just have like a demo on his phone that's just like him playing with an acoustic guitar, and then I'll like bring it home and I'll just listen to it and like record something on top of it, like, and we kind of just come up with ideas, or or we'll play together and just kind of like the stuff comes out naturally.
Yeah, either combination of those two scenarios.
Yeah.
My favorite is when it's actually like, hey, come over and let's play something together and I have something to show you, and you actually sit there with your instrument and you can usually sit and listen the first time and not add anything, and then it's like, all right, got it, and I play it again. And at this point we've been doing it for long enough where I don't really talk about
Read my mind.
I don't talk about a lot of what I want to hear or what I'm thinking. We kind of just get into it and go, and it's a well-oiled little machine there.
Love it.
Yeah.
The other thing that I want to ask about is lyrics and like the meaning of these songs as you write them, and how those change over time. Talking about a song that you wrote almost 10 years ago, right? Do those lyrics still like bring you back to what you were writing about, or do they apply differently in your life moving forward? Because some of these songs I'm like, you're writing about other girls right now, and no, I'm just kidding. I really don't care. But I'm interested in like lyric meaning, and I'm a big like fan of that whole poetic nature of
for me,
songwriting.
Yeah, for me as the lyric writer, it does change over time. Sometimes, especially with an early song like that, I didn't have a developed lyric writing process. That's something that I continue to try to hone.
That's what she went to Berkeley for.
Yeah. But at that point, I was, humming and singing words that fit the music that we wrote together or that I wrote. And I actually think with Reason to Breathe, Matt wrote the guitar riff, and we were kind of jamming on that, and then I built a song around that. And I don't remember what those words meant to me at the time. Trying to express how you feel, I guess I hide it pretty well, don't I? I guess I don't wear my heart on my sleeve. For me, it means something different now. Absolutely. And all those little iterations of the verses, and for every version we've done, it does change and it evolves. I don't know for you. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't write the lyrics, so like I don't have the same connection to them that you do, or like whatever you were thinking about at the time. But like, definitely it applies to like, I don't know how I'm feeling in that moment.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I love listening to music that I loved when I was younger as like either an adult or just years later, and it resonating about something totally different than it did before. So that's what.
Yeah, and I find myself, and I've pulled back from doing this as much as I used to, but I write a lot through other people's ears, hearing what I think other people are gonna hear when they hear these lyrics, and that's unhealthy, I think, if you do it too much. But I think and some people say you never write for other people, write art for art's sake. You're not writing for a market. You're not writing for a product. And it's not like a market or a product, but it's a taste. Like sometimes what your friends love, and you hear people comment on music, and sometimes I hear those comments and I get inspired by them. Like one of my friends will tell me, I love this about, Arcade Fire. And it's like, okay, I want to put that into my music because you inspired me to deliver that.
Well, and I think one of the beautiful things about music is, yes, it's like for you and you write it for yourself to experience that and to express things that you're going through, but it's also to find like commonality in the human experience that you share with like other people, right? Like these emotions are things that everybody feels, and you're communicating, yes, maybe in your own version of that story, but it's also something that someone else might resonate with in a totally different way.
Yeah, all about relatability, and that's huge for me because I think that's what I gravitate towards, so try to write it too.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, everyone, we're still listening. Feel free to leave love notes or ask questions in the comments, and we're going to listen to Closer.
Closer. This was our 80s vibe.
Yeah.
Nice
love
big
this
drum
one.
sound. I think this is Alan on the drums for this one, with the tambourine attached to it.
You look good tonight, just the way that I remember. Everything's alright with me, I'm doing fine. But I shiver cold sometimes at night. I dream of things that keep you on my mind. But you look good tonight.
Yes. I love that. I love that like 80s
Me too.
vibe.
Me too. Me too. And I think about how the software and the instruments that you're working with can inspire your session, and
Totally.
and that's part of using the studio as a composition and an arranging and a production tool. And one of the plugins that was on every song of this, do you remember the compressor?
The Wolfpack?
Yes, the
Yeah.
Wolf comp, the Wolf compressor. If anybody knows the band Wolfpack, they're like a jammy, like nerdy, music-y R&B riff kind of band. They're really fun, really great, and they collab with so many amazing artists. But they also have a plugin, a compressor plugin that is awesome, and we use it on everything. It gives so much color. It's got that analog oomph and warmth and kind of you can really manipulate it anyway, nerding out. But that was
That and the VCR pedal.
the VCR. Yeah. Oh yeah. And Ryan Adams was a big. Yeah, the VCR pedal that Ryan Adams makes is a big thing. I know Josh is like, wow.
No, this is great.
We're nerding out on gear, but we loved the Ryan Adams vibe on a lot of these tunes. Yeah.
Very cool. So Kirsten actually asked a great question, and it was talk about your favorite or one of your favorite live performance experiences.
Ooh,
Those are always fun stories.
they are. Matt, do you have one in mind? I mean, I have a lot.
On the
but I'm-
spot.
Yeah,
question.
I mean, one of the craziest times was when we were playing in the atrium at Michael's Cigar Bar, and it started like torrentially downpouring, and the place started flooding, and water was literally streaming down the walls and like starting to come up. And
retracted
playing.
roof.
You're
Yeah,
like,
the the retracted roof was not so retracted. Yeah, you keep playing until you realize that my guitar's gonna kill me if I keep playing it.
I'm definitely not saying that's one of my favorite performances.
It's memorable.
It's memorable.
And then that started happening to us. And then Elm Park, we were supposed to play a couple years ago on a metal stage, and we got rained out for that.
Yeah.
But like beautiful memories of gigs. Also in the atrium, when Gloria sang with us and Emily was playing drums. Emily Estefan played drums with us. Our friend and her mom, who's Gloria Estefan, sang with us.
Gloria.
Oh my God, it was just amazing. And Emily saved our asses that year, filling in for a bunch of gigs where we didn't have a drummer. And so,
shout out to Emily.
Oh my God,
featured in Out
amazing.
Magazine.
Yes, amazing,
Queer
inspirational
artist,
queer artists
yes.
that we love so much. Love you, Em. All those gigs with Emily were actually fucking amazing.
Yeah.
That was a lot of fun. So many nights like at the Lucky Dog, and even the Gaslight when we started playing in like Dudley, Mass, at those dive bars. Like we took, I don't know. I took it for
And weren't you like
were
17?
16. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, weren't you like 17 when you started playing?
Yeah,
Probably not supposed to be. Yeah.
Probably not,
Yeah.
but
it was good though.
yeah, cool. So what is up next?
Okay, next is a song called Everything, and this is a love ballad. It's a love song.
Girl.
I will say that, when you write songs, you have relationships with your songs, like your children, really. But as you grow, those things change. Sometimes basically what I'm saying is you write songs for people, and sometimes those relationships change, but you still love the songs. It's a really weird thing as a songwriter. I don't know if anybody can.
Well, I imagine it's similar to like knickknacks and places and all sorts of memories that you have with people, right? I think like as you evolve as a person, you can appreciate things without like holding on to any bitterness that comes with memory.
Yeah, and I also think that like, an artistic expression about love is like about your capacity to love. That's how I feel about this song for me anyway. It's called
Thank you for that
Everything.
reassurance, darling.
You're welcome, babe.
People confuse me for just being crazy, but babe, I'm just crazy about you. I don't mean to brag, and I don't want to boast, but believe me, darling, you're better than most, and you're my love. If I ever lose you, my heart just to find you. Baby, I can't go back now.
Beautiful. But who is that about and where's her home address? No, I'm just kidding. That was great.
Love you.
Love you too, dear. People
Third
are
wheel in
still... What?
The third wheel in it.
Well, we love
never,
you.
Matt. Never, ever. Kirsten's like...
Kirsten's here. Hi, Kirsten. What was I going to say? Oh, Van Morrison. That was a huge inspiration for that song. For me, was Van.
Yeah, so I want you both to tell me 2 to 3 artists who inspire you and your music.
Okay, I'll start with, like I said before, Jimi Hendrix was one of the biggest influences for me. Derek Trucks is one of my favorite players because he just someone who can make the guitar feel like it's not a guitar, it's just like a voice almost, it's simple and just he conveys so much emotion through his playing. And I don't know. Do you have any? I'll think of another one.
I mean, I have more than 3.
I know, it's kind of hard to...
I just said Van Morrison on that song specifically. I mean, David Bowie, overarching hero. Bruce Springsteen, also in that category for me. Also in that category, the Rolling Stones. Yeah.
Well,
yeah, the Stones definitely had a big influence on both of us.
Yeah.
And just our whole thing. Yeah.
and I think this audience would love to hear this. You've performed on a stage that the Stones have performed on, correct?
Oh, yeah.
True, yeah.
Yeah, the
So-
Lucky Dog.
Share that.
The Lucky
Talking about
Dog
Lucky
Music
Dog.
Hall. I mean, we grew up playing at the Lucky Dog.
Yep. And now it's gone.
It's gone. It was the cove for a bit. I'm so I feel bad that it didn't
I
continue. But the Stones played there at Sir Morgan's Cove in 1981.
Yep.
Secret show, kick off a tour they were doing back then for Tattoo You, I think. I mean, whoa, what a time to be alive.
They were going under a different name though, right?
Well, they billed themselves as the Cockroaches, which is
Yeah.
it was a kind of a little nod to being the anti-Beatles,
Yeah.
right? They were the Cockroaches. That was their fake name for that. And WAAF promoted it as the Cockroaches, and they're no longer around either.
I know.
Did they use photos, or was it just the cockroaches, some text art? Because if people saw photos of the Rolling Stones, they'd know who it was.
No photos.
right?
I think it was just print and newspaper. And I mean, from what I know, in 1981, it was people were gonna go down there either way. People were going down to Sir Morgan's Cove on a weekend night anyway. That's just what you did. It's a little bit different than begging people to come to your show, via Facebook, the way we have to do nowadays. No, the music scene was just different. I mean, and now we're all at home watching live streams, but
Well, and that's an interesting thing too. And being involved with So Far Sounds Worcester, it's talking about bringing really that appreciation back to live music. Of you go to a venue to watch live music,
Yeah.
Especially locally and smaller venues and stuff, which I think it is a shame that places like the Cove or Lucky Dog have closed. And so maybe we can bring them back. Maybe after this, people will be like, oh my God, we need to bring it back. Every type of social space that ever existed.
oh, I know.
I feel that.
I love that.
All right, we have 2 songs
All
left.
right, 2
on
songs
this
left.
album.
All right,
Wow.
cool. Balancing is kind of a cool song. That I would say Balancing in some ways is a bit of a nod to our prog rock beginnings of the Black Raspberries.
Yeah.
We have some switching time signatures, which when you're doing an Americana blues rock thing isn't as common, but
It doesn't usually happen.
doesn't usually happen. But we do a little bit of a 3-4-4-4 kind of switch up in the chorus, which is
You know
fun.
who did that? The Beatles.
The Beatles did a fuckload of that, didn't they? All right.
Yep.
Let's hear it.
All right, FCC is going to be coming after me. All right, this is Balancing. And the lyrics, actually, I wrote after a little tough moment that I had in 2016. And I actually wrote in tribute to Matt at the beginning. The whole song is really about mental health, but it starts off about, Matt has always been like best buddy, best friend, brother, really, to me, and helped me through, I think, hopefully help each other through tough times, but I know you've always been there for me, and you're, known as like the quiet one in the band for forever. So like I wrote these lyrics, like the beginning of it says like quiet one, and it goes from there. And then I just talked about basically pouring my soul out, and how I talk too much. That's also in this song. So there you go.
I'm speechless.
Quiet one, I can't take you for granted no more. Like the sun that rises from within, and I'm sure, without a doubt, you grabbed me as I began to tumble into the grave that I had dug. In my defense, I talk too much to try to make you understand my feelings. You've always had that way with words. No need to use a lot, just the powerful. I'll make friends with the thorns in my soul. Got no need for your pity. See me laugh just to ease the sorrow, but I'm just balancing. Oh, balancing. Signs of life, I've seen them shine like diamonds in your eyes. I have seen the darkness in them too. Put down my pride and face myself. Walk a mile in my nightmare. I make it home before it rains. Before it rains. I'll make friends with the foes in my soul. Got no need for your pity. See me laugh just to ease the sorrow, but I'm just balancing. Oh, balancing. I only need just enough to set me straight, to hit the spot. I try to share, I try to save something for myself. With every bad memory, I'm making peace, I'm planting seeds. Swim in the sky, fly in the sea, everything I need in front of me. I'll make friends with the foes in my soul. Got no need for your pity. See me laugh just to ease the sorrow, but I'm just balancing. Yeah. Oh, balancing. Oh, balancing.
Woo. That was good.
Yeah, 70s,
Love that.
70s moment there. Sometimes you don't need an amp, but back to Jim's question, right, Matt?
Yep, that one was totally just like a guitar into a computer with distortion.
Well, I would beg to differ if you asked Mike Harmon. I'm sure it was going into some heavy outboard analog gear first.
Fair enough.
Before it
No.
hit that computer.
I think that was recorded at Alan's house.
We did some at Allen's. Yeah, there were some post-production things we did pop over to West Brookfield to do.
Or maybe it was just the backwards part. I don't know.
Maybe, I don't know. There's a backwards guitar, again, our nod to the Beatles, psychedelia in there.
Love it. Love it, love it.
Yeah.
This has been great. Oh, we're on the last song, though.
We're on the
right?
last song, yeah.
All right, before we get to the last song.
Yes.
Before we can't end this yet. It's 9:30. If we
Yeah.
ended exactly on time, that would be offensive.
No, yeah.
So I want each of you to reflect on this album. And I'm not going to ask that annoying question of like, what song's your favorite on here? But if you could each pick one song that everyone listening could recommend to a friend, what song would that be and why?
You start.
Okay.
You always do that, Jim. You're like, oh, impromptu question. Matt, go first.
It's okay. Because honestly, I had my answer. Because I think it's closer. I don't know why. It just has that like fun like 80s vibe that I feel like people can connect with. Yeah.
I love Closer. I would say Reason to Breathe. To me, it's the quintessential Hot Letters.
The Mona Lisa of this album.
Yeah. 100%.
I love it. All right. So cue up the last song. What is it? Why was it last?
Oh, Asking for a Friend. Okay, so this is a song that's not a lot like the other songs. It's the longest song on the record. It has an intro, a pretty long, not too long, instrumental intro, right?
Yep.
It's vibey and it gets intense and it's a little bit political as well. This was written post-Trump America. Political. Whereas
Influenced by,
yeah. And Asking for a Friend is almost like a play on that thing that you see a lot of people write on Facebook where they're like, oh, it's not for me. I'm just asking for a friend, to be coy when they're asking like embarrassing questions or just being silly. But I kind of took that as like this whole blinders attitude to like things that are going on in the world and how a lot of people have that attitude towards politics. And what that has led to. So that's what this is about. And
I love driving it home and making it political right at the end.
Right at the end.
I saw Barbara Streisand in concert and like 2 hours in, she was like, all right, this is now an announcement. This is now an advertisement for Hillary Rodham Clinton. It became a whole thing. But anyways.
Well, this is a rock and roll record in the era of Trump's America. So it's a big middle finger.
So fill out your census and vote in November.
That's right. All right. Anyway, this is Asking for a Friend.
Unavailable, a battle's rage in every passing car. We're all on our own. The facts don't even matter since the fall. Giving all you got used to mean something, but lately it just falls short. And who's that watching us through bright eyes in the dark? And who's that talking nonsense, waiting for the war to start. I don't need to know. I'm asking for a friend. Which way takes me home? Pitch black all over again. I'm asking for a friend. Will it be okay? Wake me up when this is over. These are hard times. Nobody's escaping without scars. They pit us up against our brothers, tell us that we're great again. Till we're blind, so self-righteous, we can't even trust our love. Who's that watching us through bright eyes in the dark? Who's that talking nonsense, waiting for the war to start? I don't need to know. I'm asking for a friend. Which way takes me home? Pitch black all over again. I'm asking for a friend. Will it be okay? Wake me up when this is over. I can sense sweet resistance in my morning, in my soul. I wanna lay waste to those who do you harm. It's my warning. But can we trust the man in the television? Power, power haunts my dreams. I don't need to know. I'm asking for a friend. Which way takes me home? Pitch black all over again. I'm asking for a friend. Will it be okay? Wake me up when this is over.
Hot Letter. Wachusett Sessions.
There they are.
Giuliano D'Orazio. Matt Sivazlian. That was awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks.
I love the like change in tone, and not so much like winding down the album of that last song, but it's like it's pretty like starkly different to all the other tunes. It was giving me a lot of Bowie vibes. I was feeling that. It was great. I also felt like I like was slipping into like watching Donnie Darko, which is one of my favorite movies ever, which was great. And that was the last song on the album.
Yeah.
And so the album's going to be streaming on all platforms. Should be by the end of tonight.
Yes, yeah, we
Up
set
and
it
out
up
there.
to go live, hopefully for 9 o'clock on Spotify and other services, but sometimes it takes a while to show up there. But this album will be streaming for you to listen to without all this commentary.
Well, people have loved this, actually.
Good.
Someone made a comment about the fact that, like, this was so cool that this, like, kind of had to happen by way of, like, the quarantine, but it's so interesting to, like, hear the story behind the music and to hear it in a different way than if you were at a bar and, you know, the vibe is...
I mean, this wouldn't have happened at all, probably. I mean, we wouldn't be doing anything like this.
Right. I mean, we definitely wanted to get it out there, but this expedited it, and I'm glad we could do it, you know, and I'm glad you tuned in. Thank you for watching, all of you out there. Thank you.
Well, and I said at the very beginning that we were going to talk about Hot Letter, the name.
Oh,
of the
right.
band.
Oh, yeah.
So if you stuck around,
Let's wrap with
you're
that.
going to rap with the reason that Hot Letter is Hot Letter.
You
And
gonna
no
throw-
longer
you
the
throwing
Black
it to me again?
No,
Raspberries.
I'll go ahead.
Okay.
I don't mind starting. It's just people tell me I talk too much. So, but Hot Letter. When we were retiring the Black Raspberries name and looking to, Black Raspberries had actually taken a break, so we were looking to revamp the band with, many of the same members, but a new name, a new aesthetic, a new style, maturity, hopefully. We wanted something that was kind of like sexy and badass and a little bit more like, not like raspberries. So I was like, okay, Hot Letter. I don't know what about that sounds cool. It popped into my head, and then we researched it. And it turns out that Abraham Lincoln coined the term, or used the term anyway, when he would write letters to adversaries. His first draft would get all the anger and emotions out, and it would be the hot letter. And he would actually burn it after, and then rewrite a more, palatable, subdued version.
So the modern day version is like me opening notes on my Mac and like furiously typing my message to someone and then deleting it.
Yes, pretty much. Exactly.
Yeah, I love that. It's like, yeah, it's just like a beautiful way of picturing like sentiment and feeling and having it like almost become part of the earth.
Yeah, I think it's a moment we all experience, before we filter ourselves. And I think so much of that is part of the rock and roll ethos, is like not the filtered version of yourself. And don't think before you put it out there, just like let it fly. And of course, as you have heard tonight, making a record and making an album is not that. There's a lot of planning and a lot of process, and sometimes it takes 2 years before it hits listeners' ears. But the energy that inspires that hopefully has some of that spontaneity to it.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for sharing your music. This was great to talk to you both about this.
Thank
I
you.
love
you.
And
Yeah.
most of all, thank you at home.
Well, and before we say goodbye, any parting thoughts? Any parting thoughts about the album or?
Guys, I hope everyone enjoys listening to it as much as we enjoyed making it. Hope it makes their quarantine a little bit more enjoyable.
Yeah, play it loud, crank it up.
Play it
have
on
fun.
repeat in the house when you go to bed. Put it on your computer downstairs. Play it on repeat.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Drum up those.
We get some cents. We get some straw pennies when you play it on Spotify and on Apple Music. So even if it's muted when you're sleeping, it's just racking those cents up for us.
And if you haven't followed Hot Letter on Facebook, follow Hot Letter. Follow Matt and Giuliano across all the social interweb things that we connect on. Thank you to Polar for keeping us hydrated and Redemption Rock for keeping us fun. Happy Friday. Right?
Happy Friday, everyone. We hope you're celebrating in your own way. We're having fun, So hang in there, everyone. Enjoy the music. Enjoy the love. Cook something yummy this weekend. Enjoy your family.
It's going to be beautiful, so run around outside.
Yeah, do that.
Play closer, really loud.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
This is us signing off.